Greetings, Facebook family and friends. I'm happy to say this morning that, first of all, those of you that know me, I am a massage therapist graduate. Got my license and I'm very, very happy. And as you might have seen on Facebook, I've just been posting all the different stuff on there. And I'm just so happy. So thank you all for your congratulations. Thank you all for your words of encouragement. Now, this video that I'm going to be this video that I am presenting today, it is a serious video. It is about health, but it's also on a spiritual aspect. I'm going to do a little bit of reading, and that's just to probably close it out. But I also go back to some references as well. But I'm not going to do a lot of reading like I did on my last video. I'm just going to flow today and let the Spirit have His way. Because I feel that, you know, when you allow things to come, when you allow God to work within you, it makes a lot more sense and things are a whole lot easier. So, the title of this presentation is going to be, or it is, Feeding the Spirit with Natural Resources. Feeding the Spirit with Natural Resources. Now, that kind of sounds like a contradictory, almost. How do you feed the Spirit with natural things? But we're not going to talk about it in that manner. Like one guy told me a long time ago that when you smoke weed, it cleanses the soul. Well, my question was, how can something natural cleanse something spiritual, such as the soul, especially when the smoke itself will hurt the lungs? They're seeing contradictory, because if it's hurting your body, then I don't think it can do anything for the soul. Let's start with the natural things. When you eat, when you drink, when you read, when you study, when you do these things go into your body. And as they go into your body processes it. Your body, food-wise, your body processes it. It takes out what it needs to take out, and then it discards the rest. Reading-wise, studying-wise, your brain processes. Takes out what it needs to take out, and then it discards it. But that just gives you knowledge. What feeding the Spirit is through osmosis, spiritual osmosis. And I wrote this down as far as the definition of it. And it being, the definition of osmosis period is the passage of a solvent, such as water, from a lower concentration solution to a higher concentration solution through semi-permeable membranes that allows the solvent to pass through, but not what is dissolved in it, separating the two solutions. The flow of solvent stops when both solutions become equally concentrated. In nature, osmosis is the essential process by means of which nutrients are delivered to the cells. So, that's how we get our nutrients. When our cells are fed healthy things, then they're able to go through their mitosis. They're able to separate, and they're able to be healthy. Our bodies are healthy, and we, in turn, are healthy. Because, like I said before, we die at a cellular level. As your cells die, we age, and then we die. But through that regular natural osmosis, your body can live, your body can be good. Spiritually, it's the same way. When you read something, when you take in something, if you are a studier, if you are a prayer for more knowledge, then when you take in that word, or you take in your studies, whatever, your mind or the spirit within you begins to do its spiritual osmosis. It takes out all the truisms that it needs to be fed, leaving behind just the natural things that your natural body or that your natural life can use. And once it has pulled that out, then it's able to increase. How the scripture say, God gives the increase. You know, you can take the natural knowledge that you use from a book or from whatever, and you can take that and run with it. Get you a good job, do some inventions, whatever, start your own business. And you take that spiritual knowledge that it pulled out, and you have a conversation. So like, you start thinking, things are opening up to you about a subject that you would never even thought about. You start having these conversations and things just start coming out. You know, understandings and deeper knowledge and deeper thought processes, because the spirit has been able to use those truisms and make it unfold, go levels deep with it. So now you are stronger on both aspects of life, being able to understand more and be able to do more. So, you know, I had a whole lot that I had to say about this subject, spiritual, feeding the spirit through natural resources. And I think that might be about it. So, we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I'm just flowing with this. I'm just flowing. There's ways we can feed ourselves. One thing is thought. A thought process. Our thought process has got to change. Thoughts are things. And when we think a thought that is negative, that hurts us. That not only hurts our mind, that hurts our spirit, and in turn hurts our body. We think positive thoughts, that helps us, spirit, mind, and body. They're able, you know, thoughts is the gateway from the unseen into the seen. Because once you think it, there it goes. And then the thought gives a thing life. Energy and vibration formulates it. And putting the action to it manifests it. So you have this creator called thought, and then the energies that's backing it up to make it formulate, and then your body manifesting it. That in itself is a powerful thing. Why am I not feeling this? What's wrong with our churches? What's wrong with the people of today's time? Why are people so negative? And some of the most negative people are church people. How are they negative? One way they're negative is because if you don't believe what they believe, then you're wrong. Your religion or your thought process is just wrong. If you don't think the way they think, you're wrong. If your religion is not like someone else's religion, then that religion is wrong in their eyes, and in the other one's eyes, their religion is wrong because they don't have the same God. I don't understand this. I do, but I don't. You know, I was given a piece of something to be able to heal somebody with, or to be able to help somebody to heal with. And I gave it to him. I was trying to give it to him, I should say. And their thing was, well, I got my God, I got my prophet, I got this and that. And I said, well, it's supposed to be thus and such, this and the other. And what they said was, well, don't you believe that? But isn't faith about belief? Isn't faith just a step under belief? Isn't religion or Christianity, whatever, mainly about believing? So if you can believe in something, then more than likely it will happen. So why is it that because it's not from your church or it's not from your belief system, then it's not right? What's wrong with our churches? The churches being the people, not the building, not the name, not the organization per se, the people. What's wrong? Why is our thought process just so negative? This is an issue. This is an issue because we have been so conditioned, so confined, so much in a prison that we cannot get it together. And I'm not going to say cannot, because we can. We choose not to because we're comfortable in our situation. How are we comfortable in our situation? Because whenever change comes, we don't want to move. And change is uncomfortable. But being where we're at is something familiar. It's something that we know. That's comfortable. Even if it's miserable, it's comfortable because it's what we are used to. We got to get out of this mentality that just because something is not what we believe, or just because something is not how we think it should be, then it's evil or bad or it ain't right. No. We got to open up our minds. Dr. Ray Hagan has this thing he does where he puts his bubble up, puts a circle up. And I'm going to paraphrase. I don't know it word for word. But it says, inside this bubble contains all the knowledge that I know, that I have studied and understood, and that's all inside this bubble. What I got to realize is that there is so much more outside this bubble yet for me to know. So that basically says I don't know everything. And that which I do know is just a small little portion compared to the whole universe of space, that of knowledge that there is to know. We have got to open our minds, open our hearts to the knowledge that wants to rise up within us. Because we already have all the knowledge. We just have to let it rise up within us. It's okay to read certain things, to study certain things, because that helps to trigger certain DNA, spiritual DNAs that is closed off. That helps to open them up. Then the spirit that's within you can begin to nurture and begin to use that knowledge and begin to say, okay. And then you can begin to say, okay, I never thought of this aspect or that aspect in this manner. Whatever it is. I'm being general because I'm talking to a general public. But if you can be able to relate to anything that I'm saying, to what some things that you may be going through in your life, your thought process, so forth, then you may can be able to get an idea of what I'm talking about. If this is totally going over your head, I'm sorry. It would just be this video that would do that. But I started off with a subject, and my spirit's not feeling it at this time. This is a day I think that if I'm a flow, I gotta let the spirit flow. And that's what's happening right now. Because there's a lot of foolishness out there. It's time for us to wake up. Wake up to the reality of embracement. I used to be about a race thing, black power, black this, black that, and so forth and so forth. You would have never known it. But that's how I was at one time. And I'm coming into the understanding of embracing that which you cannot stand, that which you hate just gets stronger. That which you fight against just gets stronger. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I hate anybody, but I'm just talking in general. That which you fight against gets stronger. Take, for instance, a person. We'll just go be as simple as a person. Someone who gets on your nerves so bad that you just want to beat them down. You want to smack them. You just want to, whatever you can do to just get back at that person. And the more energy you give that person of negative energy because you're fighting against them, the stronger they get. Why? Because they are controlling you. He who angers you controls you. And they're getting that much more power over you. But when you learn to embrace them, you embrace their faults. You embrace the fact, okay, you do this and you do that to me, but you know what? You can't. You have no power over my life, and you can't control me. But I love you anyway, and I love you for the fact that God put you in my life to better me. Because within you, you're obviously manifesting something that's within me that I don't like, that I'm seeing through you. But I have shut off within myself. So thank you, because I can embrace that within myself. And once you embrace that within yourself, and then you embrace them for showing it to you, then all them problems can go away. Because on a natural level, you're freaking them out. You know, like, why are you being so nice to me? Why are you being this way and that way after I'm doing all this and that? Because it's not you doing it. It's me doing it through you to show me what I need to fix about me. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, we must embrace everybody. Those black men and women that don't like the white men and women for whatever reason, we must embrace them. The white men and women that don't like the black men and women for whatever reason, we must embrace them. The Hispanics that don't like the Orientals, and the Orientals that don't like the blacks, that don't like this one, everybody that don't like everybody, we must embrace them. Because one way or another, we are all a whole. And everybody that's in your cipher, that's in your world, that's in your circle of friends, whatever you want to call it, they are a part of you. They are manifestations of you. And whatever you love about that person, you love about you. Whatever you can't stand about that person, you can't stand about yourself. But because you can't see it in yourself, it's because you have shut it off within yourself. And yourself is showing you through them what it needs worked on. So therefore, embrace it. Embrace them. Love them. And you love you. And you'll be able to overcome so many things in life. You'll be able to open, your mind will be opened up to so many things in the spiritual and natural realm, because you will have taken on another reality instead of a negative reality and a fighting reality and always want to go against reality. You will have taken on an embracing, loving reality to where you can grow. The earth will be your footstool. That which came from you will be your footstool. And you can gather the resources through that, through that earth, that you need to rise above and rise up. So just because you have been conditioned, just because you have been, what's the word? Organized or indoctrinated, don't mean that you can't break that mental cycle, that mental train of some call it slavery, some call it bondage, whatever. You can break that to where you can visualize yourself going. You can study other things. You can look into other stuff to help your spiritual growth. Because what we call spiritual in the churches today is not spiritual, that's religion. Anytime you look down on somebody and on what they're teaching, on what they believe, That's not spiritual. That's religion. Anytime you can say my knowledge is better than your knowledge because I'm at this level and you're at this level, that's not spirituality. That's religion. And with religion comes judgment, comes backstabbing, backbiting, and everything else that they preach about in churches. That people do because they are religious and not spiritual. See, when you're spiritual, you engage, you embrace others. You're able to sit down and have an intelligent conversation. If they're Buddhist in your church and another person is Hindu and another one is Muslim, you can all have one thing in common, spirit. And you can embrace each other's belief system and learn something from that belief system that can help you to grow spiritually. But when you're religious, the Muslim going to hell, the Buddhist is going to hell, the Hindu's going to hell, and you the only one that's saved because you saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled. And you know what you know because you went to school or you studied the Bible and you studied this, you read it how many times and all that kind of stuff. That's not spirit. That's not God. That's indoctrination. And that is religion. So am I against religion? Am I a religious individual? I used to be. I was a Bible fanatic. I loved the scripture. You couldn't tell me nothing. And yes, I'm telling on myself. I'm testifying on myself. And then reality hit. The fact that I had a friend we was bosom buddies. We would study that Bible till like 4 in the morning. Breaking it down, opening up the scriptures and all this and all that. And then he left and went his way. Hurt me to my heart. And I was like, oh, woe is me. I don't know what to do. And oh, blah, blah. And to me, that was God's way of saying, wake your butt up and realize that what you thought you knew, you really didn't know. And the things you thought you understood, you really didn't understand. Because a lot of times we put our life in someone else's hands. We put our growth and we put our everything in someone else's hands. And we look outside of ourselves, thinking that that person or whoever is going to take us or bring us to this promised land. And when that doesn't happen, or when they fall, then we end up looking silly. Because all along, the power is in our hands. God said, I give you power. Not them over you, I give you power. But if you decided to take that power and give it to somebody else, then you're the one looking silly. So therefore, you must hold on to your power. I had to realize that the power was within me, not with that person. And as I went through my grief and through my dispensation of misery, I had to realize, you know what? I gotta live my life. And I went through a lot of things, trying to figure things out. And at one of the lowest times in my life, when I was miserable and didn't even want to live life, I went to one who I thought could help me. Once again, put my power outside of myself. And they shut me off. I said, okay, fine. So I realized that I needed to change paths. And I prayed because I didn't want to get off the current path I was on. I'm like, God, I don't want to leave my path, but I'm not happy there. So I need at this time a parallel path to where I can still see where I'm at. I can still see that I am you know, I can still see, how I put it, still see my journey. I can still see, in other words, I still go to church. I can still go to church. But I need a parallel path to where I can find myself and be able to understand who I am. And my prayer was answered the next day. It was I was put on that parallel path. It was a little bit rough path, because one thing about it, when you start something new, you don't see your end. It's like going down a dark road and you got your lights on, but you only see 200 feet ahead of you. The rest is black. So you can only see a certain distance ahead of you. And that's all I saw. But I didn't see where I was going to end up. And that's the journey. That's why it's called a journey. That's why it's also called an adventure. I don't know. But that's why you're not going to know what to expect, because it's a journey. So I wrote it. I did it. I'm continually doing it. And as I was on that journey, you know, I started studying other philosophies. I started studying other religions. I started studying other spiritual types of spiritual types of involvements, mainly African spirituality. I started studying those things, and in that, I was able to find myself. I was able to find who Ezekiel was, understanding that Ezekiel was the name given to me. Powerful name. I love the name, and especially I love the one who gave it to me. Thankful for the one that gave it to me. However, it's my name, but it's not who I am. And as I began to learn who I was, then that's when I began to come into more of who I am. And once you come more into who you are, that's when your self-power grows. Jesus didn't know, Jesus, according to the scripture, learned, as he knew who he was, he knew what his purpose was, and therefore he was able to do more of what he was able to do. His power grew. He became stronger. You see? So we must learn ourselves, know who we are. And I learned through experience. I did some reading, but those that I had teaching me, they were more of assistance to me and helping me along my path. Some would say, well, how in the world can you do this spirituality and be in church too? I learned to marry it. Because one thing I can say with my background in church, it's all the same thing. It's just different names. It's different time frames. You got the ancient and you got the present, if that makes sense to any of you. So I had to learn a lot of things through hard knocks, but I'm thankful for the lesson. And now I know where I'm going with my life. Now I know who I am. And don't get me wrong, I'm continually learning, but I know for the most part who I am. Is now walking in that fully knowing. Not believing, not having the faith, but knowing. Because when you believe something, you still have that doubt. As long as you have that doubt, you're powerless. When you have faith in something, that's a step up from belief. You have a little bit more of a knowing. But you still have that doubt there. That's why you have to have that faith. The harder you have faith, sometimes the more doubt comes. But the harder you believe, the more doubt you have. Because it's balanced. But when you know something, you just know it. You don't know, you don't believe that you can drive your car in the morning when you get up to go to work. You know you can drive it, so you start it up and you drive it. But Yet we have to believe in something that we don't know nothing about, or we don't see, or we don't feel or touch. It's a mind game. And I know that when I put this video out, I'm gonna have a lot of naysayers, a lot of rejection. I might lose some of my followers. However, I'm willing to make that risk, because it is time for us to wake up as a people. We must wake up. We must understand that the power is within us. The power of God, the power of nature, the power that we desire is all within us, and we must utilize it. We can't keep looking outside of ourselves. We have to utilize it. We can go off charts, we can go off diagrams, we can go off books, we can go off all this stuff. But when you read a book, that book is someone else's experience and someone else's knowledge. Nice reference points, nice things to go off of, and nice all that. But it's still someone else's knowledge. You have to study for yourself. Look at it for yourself, experience it for yourself, get the knowledge for yourself, and you will definitely come out all right. So some will say, what about, or I'll say this, some will probably ask me my thoughts about church. Then do I even go to church or whatever, whatnot? Yes, I go to church, and I rejoice, and I praise God. Then they say, well, if God is within you, then then that means you're praising yourself to an extent. But no, because a portion of God is within me. There is still a collective source, whole, you see, that we're giving homage and praise to and thanks for. Me going to church is also reverencing the fact that and understanding that there is more to God than just that one word or that one title or to that one thing. God is very complex. We just limited him to a title called God. But you can, what you call a source, universe, whatever you call it. Church to me is spiritual feeding. It's spiritual feeding. The word that comes down from the preacher, that's preaching it. That is preaching truth. That word that comes down, my spirit can take that. It can take that word, and through that spiritual osmosis, it can take out what it needs to grow and leave what it needs to leave for my body and for my life to grow. You see? And then from there, I can move forward. But when ego and pride gets in the way, and I think I know everything, then there is no growth. It all stops. We have to allow the spiritual osmosis to take place, so the spirit can be fed. So when I go to church to feed that spirit, to feed my spirit, and to give praise and thanks to those that is due for. And I say those because there is more than just one aspect of God. There's more than one attribute of God, even though it all makes up the whole. But we, as in the flesh, also make up a whole. We also we are also the attributes of God manifested. So therefore, we give praises to that source. I give praises to that source. That's why I go to church. I go for thanks. I go for praise. I go for strength to feed my spirit. I study. I live the life I'm supposed to live. I read the Bible every now and then, but I mainly use the Bible for helping others that can't understand it from the viewpoint that I'm coming from. I use it from their viewpoint because I know that they can understand that because that's what they're used to. Nothing wrong with that. And I have a good time. I love my church. But that doesn't stop me from going other churches. Doesn't stop me from visiting other religions. Doesn't stop me from studying other spiritualities. Because when it comes to God, everything is one. Just like the cell. Before the cell went through its mitosis and split into two, and then went into another mitosis and split into 4, and then to 8, and then to 16, and so forth and so forth and so forth and so forth. And what did it do? It made up a body, and then all these other bodies. But everything started from one cell, one source. So we can't be in this mind frame of, oh, you're going to go to hell because you're studying this, that, and the other. It's all about knowing what to use, understanding how to use it, letting your spirit do its osmosis, so that way it can feed itself and feed your life, and moving forward, becoming better with life, so you can teach the next generation how to become even better in their lives, without the judgment, without the degrading, without all that bitterness and stuff. It's not worth it. We are spiritual people. Let's act like it. I want to say this. I do want to read this. A good friend of mine, through meditation, named Lashmi, gave me this message, and I would like to read it. This is a message that she sent me concerning energy and light. There is no energy of light, only darkness. There is no energies of light, only darkness. The only light is the light of consciousness that is obtained. These energies with this light guide themselves, but the energies without this light is guided by the false light of candles and rebirth. This is why people are possessed, so that these energies can come and experience the light once again through the human body, which is the actual light of energy. The question is, how does energy have a consciousness to guide them, or for them to guide themselves? What is consciousness to a spirit or energy when they do not have a container to contain it or break it down? The mind of God in the spirit? Is there, or is this a portion of the whole? This portion that brought a piece of the physical world of thought with them when they crossed over into the plane of the real, so it could remember what to do and what not to go back to. This guidance of light is the remembrance of self as it was in the flesh. But where is it retained? What mind does it hold? But in the spiritual DNA. Let me ask that again. What mind does it hold but in the spiritual DNA? Track records of lives that has been lived and imprinted that these lives has left on the energy that lived those lives. In other words, the spiritual DNA or track record has been imprinted in the energies or in the lives of the spirits that live these lives, these physical lives. It's been imprinted in the spiritual DNA. And it's been left on record for them to remember. They took it from this world into the spiritual world. This is where the mind dwells, in the spiritual DNA. For energy is mind. And one that is aware of itself is a conscious mind of energy that has become freed from a dark place into the light of remembrance. It is true when you know where you came from, you know where you're going. To be an enlightened ancestor is to know your beginning and end, and to know your spiritual DNA imprint of past lives, and to be able to see others through your experience and foresight. Even the Bible says in Revelations that there were neither night or day or sunlight, but the glory of the Lord was the light. The consciousness of God within, giving light to those energies in darkness and to those dark energies in the flesh. So my purpose of reading that is because we must, I think of just now thought of the movie The Legend with Will Smith, light up the darkness. We must light up our darkness, wake up, and realize that there is more to life than what we are experiencing. There is more to ourselves than the flesh that we live in. There is more to us than that. There is more to even our human bodies, that if we allow our spirit to manifest through this, our human bodies can do whatever we want it as we want to do. It can do whatever we want to do. Understanding that when we say I, we're talking about that spirit within us. When we say me, we're talking about this flesh. We say you, we're talking about our reflection. And all in all, we're all one. We're all one. And that's one thing we must keep in mind. So before you judge somebody, before you get mad at somebody, you ask them, why? You ask yourself, why am I getting mad at you? Why am I judging you? What are you saying to make me mad? What are you saying to make me judge you? What are you doing to make me judge you? And therefore, let me look within myself to see, do I do that? Maybe not in the same formation, but in a different, but the principle of it, do I do that to somebody else? And if so, let me change that about me. And then I'll see a change in you, my reflection. So thank you for this time. It was way off subject. But you know what? I'm going to put it online anyway. Because obviously somebody needed to hear it. Because the way I was feeling before I started, my gut was wrenching, my heart was heavy, and I could just feel the Spirit saying, this is not what I want to talk about right now. But now that I said what I had to say, what the Spirit needed me to say, I feel a lot better. And it's time to move forward. So I hope I didn't offend anybody. If I did, look within yourself and ask yourself why. And then ask yourself, what is it about you that I offended? Because I'm just your reflection. So I give you great love and thanks. Much appreciation as I come and go in peace. I say Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.